Hello there. We're going to talk about it today. I want you to meet somebody that I've been wanting to get to know more personally. I see her a lot at the city council meetings, etc. Her name is Megan Workman. Hi.
Hello.
Are you glad to be here today?
We're very excited to be here.
Well, I want the world, or at least Bella Vista, to know who's Megan, what's she all about, and how does she fit into the city?
Sure. So we'll start small. We'll go Bella Vista centric. My name is Megan Workman. I've been with the city of Bella Vista since the end of 2021. I started as a city planner doing current planning, so plan review, variances, surveying the planning commission. And at the end of last year, I transferred over to take over the trails division, which handles all things trails, soft surface, so the dirt trails, paved surface like the greenway, and everything that goes into the types of active transportation that we have in the city.
So you like your job?
I do, yeah. I love it.
And this new one is, you're brand new, but you know what? Sometimes when you have a brand new slate like that, you can really make it yours and with your team. Now, it's obviously not just you. Well, who are your team people? Do you have a team?
I am a division of one right now. However, the great thing about the city of Bella Vista is our department functions as, a comprehensive team. So anything that I work on, multiple other city planners also work on.
Okay.
And then we have people outside of the city organization that also participate in, moving trails and active transportation forward. Because a lot of people like to think that trails is a singular organization that's running it, but it's actually, we're one very small puzzle piece of what makes up Bella Vista Trails.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that the mayor and I were talking about earlier today is the new, I guess it's a state law, and we're trying to adjust to that, is the Greenway. Talk to us about the Greenway. Tell us what all that means and how Bella Vista fits into that and what we're changing.
Sure. So the Greenway has just entered into the Bella Vista city limits. Right now it stops right at Sugar Creek Center. In the future, we have to get it up to the Missouri state line so that McDonald County, they can take it further up to ultimately end in Springfield. But what we're changing right now with the Greenway is, because the Greenway is considered a regional transportation corridor, it can't have hours of operation. And the city participates in the Razorback Greenway Alliance, which I sit on that board. And we participate as 7 communities as a whole. And we have an operations manual that says, here's what you should do if there's a detour, here's what you should do if you need to extend it, signage requirements, and also hours of operation.
Gotcha.
So we're taking an ordinance forward to exclude it from the hours of operation that typically close our soft surface trail areas.
Like the mayor was talking about earlier, it was operating more like a park. But now, with the hard surface, many people are riding to work.
That's right. We have a lot of the calls that we receive are people excited about the ability to commute in and out of the community. And that's something that, is a relatively new idea. Most of the time people think, oh, trails, recreation. Bella Vista is only recreation.
Yeah.
But we have a huge, amount of people in our community who are interested in moving between city limits, and they want to do it without a car.
That's right. I think we have a graphic here called Trails and Greenway. So let's talk about that. Tell me about, what does that mean?
So one of the projects that we're working on at the city is an update to the Trails and Greenway Master Plan. The last time this plan went through an update was 2015, so it's been a solid decade.
Oh, yes.
Lots of things have changed. The interstate has completed, the Bella Vista bypass, and so that's taken a lot of the traffic through the center of our town out. We have a lot of people that have moved to Bella Vista who are interested in not only the recreational trails, but they're interested in our paved surface, areas where they can commute to and from. So what we're doing is we have received a grant from the Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning Commission to fund an update of this plan in 2026. So ultimately what we want to do is we want to, add in considerations of new developments, the demographics that we have that have changed over the last 10 years. And we also want to consider, with this updated, performance measures, are these trails that we're promoting in the future, do they have the ability to allow users of all ages and all abilities? Because most of the trails right now we have there's a few that all ages and all abilities can use, but then most of them are purely recreational, and what some riders can use or some walkers can use, others don't find those appropriate and they're not safe for them. So ultimately we would like to provide options for every user.
So that involves thinking a little differently, making sure everything is safe, and that's kind of that's one of the things you're working on.
It is. The city has an ethical obligation to ensure that everything that we forecast and plan and develop is safe. Human life safety is our number one goal. And so it's going to be a little bit of a shift for the people in Bella Vista when we start to really hone in on the fact that recreational trails really aren't for X, Y, and Z, and not everything's a bike trail. The Greenway, for example, is not necessarily a bike trail. And a lot of people don't understand that. And so with this plan, we hope to bring everything a little more into the current, environment, give it a little more of a contemporary spin, and understand that soft surface bike trails are cool, but also sidewalks and, wide paths like the Greenway are also cool.
So how do you plan, and maybe this is too soon to ask you, I don't know, but how can we help with that education? I mean, are you going to use more signage? Are you putting more policemen? And I don't mean to arrest you, but safety people on bikes themselves. How are you doing that?
How to keep people safe?
Yes.
A lot of that has to do with communicating how to be safe, because a lot of people, they're just functioning off of their intuition, and sometimes if there are other people around who are not behaving, in a super safe manner, it also promotes that behavior. So we have an education grant, which we'll speak about later, that happens to deal with just that, educating the proper ways to do things and how to remain safe with everyone.
Okay, so you said this venture or whatever is funded. Let's say one more time how it's funded.
This is 100% funded, but we received a grant from the Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning Commission through the Carbon Reduction Program,
okay,
the CRP program.
Okay.
So this is an 80-20 grant. We'll have a private match of that, so the city spends $0 to update this plan.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We need to make sure that people know how that money is where it came from, and it's earmarked for X.
It is, yes.
Yes.
A lot of the things that we undertake in the Trails Division specifically, we're seeking grants for, so that there's no, monetary issue, being brought forward for trails. Because sometimes the perception around trails is not everyone loves them, so we try to make the capital side of it to be a little less finicky as well.
Exactly. Do you ride?
I do, yes.
You do? So
Yes.
tell me, have you ridden all the trails? Or because you're working all the time, so.
I have walked all of them here. I don't ride all of them here because my day is split between, being out in the field and then in the office doing things like applying for grants. I also field a lot of phone calls during the day.
I bet you do.
But then I also participate in a number of regional boards. That takes a lot of my time.
Okay, well, tell us about those boards.
Sure.
How does it flow into what you do?
Sure. So the NWA area, every city participates at the Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning Commission, or NWA RPC is the abbreviation that you'll see on a lot of our documents. And that includes a lot of the technical staff from the municipalities that come together to, long-range plan the region as a whole. So that ensures that a number of voices are considered when it comes to regional plans. So the first board I sit on is the Razorback Greenway Alliance Board of Directors. And so that's 7 communities, and we unanimously have to decide on everything that happens with the Greenway. The alignment, the branding of it, who can put signs close to it. That way we can protect, the fundamental purpose of the Greenway, and that's to be a transportation corridor.
This is another highway.
It is, yeah. It's just not for, sedans. It's for,
Right.
Wheels and feet, essentially.
Right.
But I also sit on the Technical Advisory Committee and then the Active Transportation Committee, which is a regional group of people that are in charge of trails, active transportation, and sidewalks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So when do you sleep?
The hours are few and far between.
Well, and you also have a son, and
I do.
so you're one of those multitasking women.
That's right. I do believe I might be charged by the sun.
You think so?
I think.
Oh, I tell you. Okay, so I'd still like to know, before we get into this other stuff a little bit, I want to know more about you. I mean, you don't have to start at birth or anything, but what do you do when you're not working? Tell me about you.
When I'm not working, I spend a lot of time crocheting.
Do you?
I'm a big fiber artist. I have taught myself all kinds of different, versions of crochet. I function as a kind of like a clandestine embroidery business. My grandmother taught me when I was young how to sew and how to alter clothes. She worked for Levi's.
Really?
Back in the day, yeah. And so she taught me how to make pants and shirts. And so I do a lot of that when I'm, at home.
Wow.
I know.
I tell you what, every time I interview somebody from the city who's always, just very proper and doing their job, I find out there's a real person underneath there. And they do all kinds of fun things. Levi's, huh?
Yeah. She worked for Levi's a long time. I inherited her sewing machine, and it's a crazy commercial sewing machine that weighs probably 150 pounds. And I make a lot of pants on it, because it'll just zip through anything.
But those are hard, especially the heavier fabrics like that.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, man, we're going to have to talk more offline.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's do that. All right, so you brought some of your folks with you today. We're not going to embarrass them, but let's talk about who's sitting over here in the audience as your support system.
We could embarrass them.
Well, you want to?
I do fancy myself as a unofficial stand-up comedian. I brought 2 members of our planning staff. Like I said earlier, everything we do is, a concerted team effort to ensure that multiple perspectives are captured. And also, we have so much public, outreach at the city that it takes more than one set of ears. So I've brought our senior planner, Christopher Hyatt, and then I brought our planning, she's a city planner. I'm sorry, Jess, I don't recall your exact title, but Jessica Grady, who's our newest member of the staff, who's also a well-experienced city planner as well.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So your position right now is still within the planning group.
Correct. So
it's not separate from.
Correct. So
okay.
The planning and development department is sectioned into divisions: engineering, trails, and planning and development compliance.
Okay.
And so we are all under the same department. Right now, we all sit in the same room.
Yes.
So we do a lot of open air collaboration, which suits city planners' personalities perfectly.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So are you all going to be, well, I know the planners are, but trails and all of that, are you going to be impacted when we finally get this code update through? Is that going to be better for you?
Yes. And so that's one of the great things about the code reform project is we have the ability to, hit a few of the goals from the 2015 Trail and Greenway Master Plan that hadn't quite yet been met by, adding additional bicycle parking development requirements for multifamily. So that includes a no payment option amenity for secured bike storage. So if anyone comes in to build a new, apartment building or something similar to the Fat Tire with the residential up top, they also have to provide that secured bicycle parking.
Oh, yeah, good, of course.
Yeah, so it makes the idea of commuting a little easier because now you have a secured place to put your bike. You don't have to worry about it, and then it doesn't eat up any space in your footprint.
You know what? We've got a couple of other slides to go through, but let's take a quick break, and we'll get back and we'll get into some more of the meat of other things that are going on. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. You caught me. But at any rate, let's talk a little bit. I know you mentioned earlier, and I think I've got this connection right, so you'll help me here. The Razorback Greenway right now ends at Sugar Creek, behind Allen's,
Yes.
and over there.
Yes.
I know, because from being on the POA, that the next thing that the Trailblazers or whomever are going to do is actually take that and extend it all the way over to what used to be called Bluebird Park, which is now Treehouse Park. Okay, and that's behind Fat Tire, and it's where the artwork is.
Yes.
Yes. So, that's the next part. But then you have a slide here, and let's pull it up, called Reimagining Highway 71. Tell me, does that all fit in? Is that part of it?
Everything we do is suspiciously connected.
Oh.
And this has to do with that as well. The last time that 71 was looked at as a corridor for transportation was 2017. And the recommendation at that time was, when the Bella Vista bypass is completed, in order to mitigate the traffic, maybe we should add additional lanes, we should add additional traffic lights to add queuing, things of that nature. And over the years, we realized that the best practice is not to add additional lanes, because that just widens the congestion. What actually is important to move traffic along is to eliminate the traffic lights and the timing that comes with that. But ultimately, the best way to relieve that is to change the mode of transportation for a lot of those people.
Okay.
And that includes prioritizing, active transportation, which essentially is just a fancy way of saying you're going from one place to another with anything but a car. So with your feet or on bike, we have a few scooterists in our community who, scooter all the way down into Bentonville to work every day. So the Highway 71 project is a project to look at the existing context of the road. We have 12-foot wide lanes. We have a pretty ugly concrete median in the middle.
Yeah.
And then we have a lot of driveways that create a safety concern with a lot of people. I commute in and I see the traffic every day. But then I also see people commuting out, whizzing past the traffic because they're utilizing the detour. And so what we'd like to do is we'd like to identify opportunities to improve the 7.5-mile corridor of 71, maybe add in some roundabouts or...
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Add in some roundabouts if we can to eliminate traffic signals so that you're not stuck waiting in them, especially when it's off time and you're sitting, waiting for a light to turn.
Yes.
It's on a timer. And then find opportunities for us to not only provide on-street bike facilities, because sometimes those aren't super comfortable, but to find a way to put sidewalks adjacent to the roadway so that you're giving everyone the option to choose which way they want to, come through Bella Vista.
So walkers, cyclists, cars. Wow. Let's talk, just because it triggered a thought
Sure.
here. The temporary bike detour path thing with the scary stick-up things. Let's talk about that. And that's not permanent. That's just tell us about
Correct.
it. Tell us about that.
I should have come prepared.
You did.
The temporary greenway detour, which is not comfortable for anyone, we understand that it's very problematic and it doesn't feel, even to the most confident rider, it doesn't feel very good because
It doesn't feel good in the car either.
No, it doesn't.
You've got them here and you're just like, oh.
Yes, and the speed limit through that corridor is 45 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But when we look at speed data, most motorists are moving through there at about 55 miles an hour, which is, substantially quicker than you would want next to you on a bike. But that is a temporary solution. It feels like a long-range temporary solution, but the replacement of the Red Iron Bridge, which was removed, that project is underway with the city of Bentonville. It's called the Wishing Springs Connector.
Yes.
Which will realign the greenway just a little bit. It's moving to the east, but that includes 2 new bridges. And once that project wraps up, with the anticipated dates, the end of 2026, the greenway detour on 71 will go away completely.
Did a lot of that rerouting that have to do with the fact that, Bentonville owns what Bella Vista Lake, or it's going to be called something different now, I think.
Yes.
But have to do with that and the fact that the stream went back the way it's supposed to instead of the lake?
I think there's a lot of environmental factors that went into the realignment of it.
Okay.
But it also has to do with the number of bridges and infrastructure-related things that would have to go into it. It makes the most sense fiscally and maintenance-wise in the long range to realign it.
Let's talk a little bit about the timeline here. Which phase are you in?
We haven't begun this project yet. We
Okay.
received a grant from the Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning Commission.
Yes, you did.
For a Transportation Alternative Program, or TAP. These funds, we've been awarded the funds, but that process will begin at the beginning of 2026.
Okay. So let's step through the timeline.
So we'll start with the consultant selection. So that's going to be the consultant that will help us through the project. The first phase is essentially just an analysis of what is actually going on. Is a lot of us just see it as we're driving through, or if we're grabbing lunch, or we're at the dentist. So that's going to include a comprehensive look at the speeds, the times people are traveling, where they're traveling to, identifying areas in the roadway where we can improve it. And then the second phase includes a hyper-focused area, which we've chosen the town center area. So that's going to be the Harps area, where the Fire Station 1 is there. And that phase includes a 30% conceptual design, so that we can look at the area between Reardon and town center and have an idea of what it would cost to update that. So maybe if we thought, crazy idea, a roundabout there at Reardon to move that traffic instead of a light, what it would cost to make that improvement, so that when we're ready to apply for future grants, we already have something on the shelf ready to go.
Gotcha. How's the new bike park? How does that all work into what you're doing?
It works on a multitude of ways, but the most important way that it works in, or the thing that we need to consider the most, is the amount of people that are going to be interested to get there, and how we mitigate, the amount of people getting there versus the people that are just typically moving through our community. We understand that it's going to be, a lot of tourists at the beginning. Luckily, our community has gotten a little used to that, because we've become a national destination for recreational trails. So the hard part is done, but we'd also like people to be able to get there, from the Greenway.
Yes.
And so this 71 project will also look at how we get people from the east side of 71 to the west side, because it serves as a vehicular transportation corridor. But what happens if you don't want to use a car to cross?
Yes. Yes. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Are you having fun?
It's very exciting.
Yes.
We will be very busy for the next 2 years.
Yes, you will. Okay, so that's all kind of in the works, right? So let's kind of talk a little bit. Is there something you'd like to say to connect us from that to this, or can we go directly to the communications, educations, and outreach?
I think a good connector point would be when you see people crossing 71 at the identified locations, or when you see people in the Greenway detour. There are people that sometimes drive poorly because they don't understand who gets the right of way when a bike lane and a roadway intersect.
Or they think they know.
Or they think they know.
Yeah.
They may be misinformed on that.
Right.
And so the Communications Education and Outreach Program was a recommendation of multiple plans that the City Council has adopted over the last 10 years, including the Vision Zero plan. It's a basic tenet of the 2015 Trail and Greenway Master Plan. And then improved mobility connections along 71 is an important part of our 2040 comprehensive plan. And so this project will be our, project that will kick off this year. We're in the process of consultant selection with RDOT right now.
Okay.
Because this project is being funded by a grant, of course, and it's being privately matched. So it's a $0, cost to the city.
There you go, folks.
And at its simplest form, it's a comprehensive education approach to teach people, the proper way to share the road so that everyone can safely move through. There's a lot of misconceptions about who has ownership of the road, but if you consider who roads were initially built for, kind of changes,
Yes.
the way that you see things.
Okay, so let's get into this here. Let's go through this like we did with the other one. So
Sure.
Right now, where are we? Start at the beginning and where we're going.
Sure. So right now we're in, like I said, the consultant process.
Right.
So that process will wrap up in about October.
Okay.
And then we will begin the outreach portion of that, understanding a lot of the attitudes between all users. the great thing about this project is it's not just a bikes need to learn how to use the road or drivers need to learn how to use the road. It's a everyone needs to learn how to use the road.
Right.
If you have commuted in NWA for any amount of time, maybe even once, you understand that there are a lot of people, and it's important to do it safely, because if not, everyone's having a bad day.
Yes.
We spend a lot of time when we make decisions, we're doing it based on data. And this morning I polled the audience, our two guests in particular this morning, and I just asked them, I said, what would you guess the national average is? How many bicycle fatalities do you think are, attributed to motorists trying to overtake a bicyclist, but doing so unsuccessfully? And much to my dismay, they were double the percentage. But that also teaches me that they think that there's a bigger problem there than there actually is. It's about 30% of the fatalities for bicyclists have to do with unsuccessful overtakings. But on the flip side of that, the second leading cause of bicyclist fatalities is bicyclists failing to yield at signalized intersections, which is a big problem here.
Yes.
If you checked any of our social media. And so what we'd ultimately like to do with this project is to highlight that mistakes happen on both sides of the table, but there's a way to, effectively and safely, help all users understand.
How can we help you? And when I say we, I mean not only the station, because we will do that's all what we are: inform, educate, and entertain. That's what we strive to do. So what could not only we do to help, but how can the community help? Maybe you need to come back every now and then and just...
I'm happy to come back.
Yeah, but how can we help?
One thing Bella Vista does well is they like to tell us when something is great and when something is not. And so the greatest help we can get from the community is just keep calling to tell us that you don't like this or you do like this. With our code reform project, we had nearly 1,000 comments.
Did you?
Almost immediately, yeah. And a lot of them had to do with sidewalks,
yes,
bikes, traffic. And so I pulled a lot of that data into this project so that we can, we already have a pretty good basis of where to start from. But just keep sending us emails, keep telling us you don't like it. And if you're not sure about something, and you may feel a little embarrassed about not knowing, send me an anonymous, question. And attend these public outreach meetings. We're gonna have an open house. We're gonna have a few public events where people can come out and just say,
good,
I'm confused about this, or in this scenario, who is the right of way?
Right.
Just keep giving us your opinions and continue your participation any way that you can.
I love the fact that you're going to do that, and obviously more than once, because not everybody can attend. Blah blah blah. But that's important to actually have those storyboards, I guess, like here's where we are, here's what we're thinking of doing. You guys are really good about that, I think. So that's very helpful. All right, I tell you what, we are almost out of time, not completely, but is there anything at all that you would like to say to Bella Vista that would encourage them to, you just did really, you just said, hey, call me, talk to me, blah, blah, blah. And probably with a kinder voice rather than yelling, that would be nice. Because what did my mother say? You can kill more flies with sugar than you can with vinegar. So,
that's true.
But you do want to hear what
I
they
do.
have.
Yeah, if things are, it's very important for municipalities to function in a way that they understand that one voice is not the ultimate voice, and it should be a collected, group of voices that influence that. I don't live in Bella Vista. I love Bella Vista, but I live in another community. So it shouldn't all, don't give me all of that responsibility.
Right.
Call me if it sucks. Call me if it's great. And then we also have an opportunity for residents to participate in our Active Transportation Advisory Board.
Yes.
We have a meeting every second Wednesday of the month. It's from 6 to 7, and it's at the City Hall building in the Planning and Development Conference Room. And we invite the public. That group allows for an open conversation at any time during that meeting. So It's a call to participate.
It's a good thing to know.
Yep.
We are out of time, but
Great.
I can talk to you forever. So again, I think when we get like in the middle of this or somewhere, wherever you think it might be time to try to educate a little bit, just let me know, and we'll talk about it again.
We'll come in for a milestone update.
That's it. Okay, everybody, we talked about it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And I'll see you at some of the meetings.
That's right.
All right. Take care. Next month.